Hey everybody, welcome back to FeedbackLoop. I'm Joey.
And I'm Jeremy.
And this week we're coming back at you live with some
Totally
of our
live.
totally live with what we've been listening to this past fortnight, a lot of crazy things going on, a lot of exciting times. I know you want to know our opinions on this music. So we'll just hop right into it, I guess. What have you been listening to,
Yeah.
Jeremy?
So last week I made some promises and then
Mm-hmm.
abruptly forgot about them.
Yeah.
As is the case of this show that we do. We did go see Beach Bunny, Joey and
Hell
I,
yeah.
within the last fortnight. So that was fun. I listened to a bit of Beach Bunny before and after, and obviously during the concert. That was fun. Afterwards, I did listen to Kai Voss, one of the openers. She also opened for Beach Bunny when I saw them last year, but I never checked out her album. I did make time and checked out her album after the concert. Pretty good. Not something that I want to listen to like all the time, but it was pretty good.
Yeah.
About what I expected, I guess, from the concert experience. Last episode, I said that Coheed had a new album coming out and Party Favor had a new album coming out. Neither of those albums have come out as of now. I guess they both got delayed, so
Yeah.
I did not listen to either of those. However, there was one big one that came out that I was super excited for. Flume's new album released last week, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago now, almost. I think, I don't know. Palaces is the name of the album, and boy, I really like that album a lot.
Hell
It's
yeah.
it's it's good. It's good Flume vibes. You know, it's kind of like experimental and like future bassy, and like there's a lot of weird shit happening, but it's also like super chill and vibey. So like it's a good night driving album, and I
Yeah.
like driving around listening to that. And I feel like part of this is maybe this is a bigger conversation, but he did a live stream of the album on the night it released. Like when it released, he did like a full album group, I guess, like playthrough where we all just kind of like got in a chat room and like listened to the album, and he had visuals for it. So there was visualizations for every track on the album, just played back to back to back, and we all kind of just like watched this album. And a big like theme, I not really a big theme of the whole album, I guess, but one of the characters or two of the characters, I guess technically, there's kind of this sub theme of he's like a motorcycle racer or something. So like there's this kind of like cool like electronic music, and he's just like zipping around on like a motorcycle and shit. So like I feel like that probably, this is a long-winded way to say that I feel like that influenced my opinion of it being a night driving album,
Yeah.
just because like there's already this imagery in my mind of just like zipping around and like just moving, and just the combination of the tracks and the feelings, and it's just, I don't know, it was a good experience to like see the live stream of it. All the music videos are pretty cool. I recommend checking it out at some point if you can, but definitely check out the album if you can't.
That sounds sick as hell, man. Like, holy shit, that sounds like such an awesome time.
Yeah, the thing, I guess there are themes of the album in general, but it's the overarching one that I take away is that it's more about like, I guess it's shitting on like capitalism and like how
Yeah.
robotic and manufactured like everything is, and kind of fighting the natural progression of things. And that means more than just like, I guess, capitalism and consumerism and stuff like that. But the start of the visualizations, as I mentioned, he's like a motorcycle racer. There's like a lot of like sponsorship stuff happening, and then by the end it's like it's all like natural rainforests and caves and shit, and then there's like graph charts and shit like flying through the rainforest and whatnot. So those are the kind of two big like competing uh, to make the story of the album, I suppose.
Well, shit, I'm gonna be giving that a spin tomorrow, actually, because I have a bunch of work to do, and I feel like that would be something
Yeah,
good to just kind
there's
of.
one track I think that's gonna shock you out of place, because it feels out of place on the album, and I'm still not sold on the one track, but I would say you'll have a good time listening through the album as like a work album.
Well, hell yeah. I wish I could do it as a night driving album, but I can't afford to spend fucking $70 on taking a drive
Gas is
anymore.
expensive, man.
Well, you know, speaking of driving, while I was driving the other day, I actually threw on some King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. And like
Yeah,
I've heard enough of their music to know that I like it, but
yeah, same.
I actually listened to a full album front to back. It was "I'm in Your Mind." Fuzz is the name of the
Mhm.
album, and it was just a generally nice experience. Like lately, I've been listening to, or at least trying to find something that sounds a little bit more like rock music,
Yeah,
but all the rock that I've been listening to, it sounds like too cheesy or like too not like it's just not real enough, I guess. And
yeah,
not saying that like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, or at least this album, is like super deep and whatever, but it's more gripping than a lot of the other rock music that
yeah.
I've been trying to listen to recently. It throws in enough of other genres, enough change like curveballs at you so that you never
They're
really
kind
get
of
too
like an
bored with it.
experimental, like stoner kind of band, right?
Yeah, like I got a lot of the vibes that I would listen that like back whenever I first got into like stoner metal or like stoner rock back in the day. Like they had a lot of that, but then there was also like I don't know, other sounds in there. Like I know they at least I didn't hear too much of it on this album, but I know I've heard that they do stuff with like microtonal music and
Mm,
stuff,
yeah,
and that's just like you can tell that they are very free with their sound and the way that they write their music. And yeah, I'm definitely going to be looking more into them because I mean, like I said, I never thought I didn't like them, but having
right.
listened to a full album of theirs front to back, it definitely made me want to listen to more of their music.
I think I might throw them on my future list. My promises that I'll make at the end of this episode. Because I've thought of checking them out several times. Like you, I've heard enough of their music to know that I enjoy them as a band, but I've never like sought out albums or anything. And I think they actually just released one this year that I've been seeing. So maybe I'll keep that
Hell
uh,
yeah.
in the upcoming weeks. Something else that I listened to over the past fortnight, and this is something that I did promise last week or last episode, and I think the episode before that, maybe even the episode before that. But I mentioned like contemporary Christian music CDs and albums that I liked as a kid, or that at least I listened to a lot of as a kid. Um, I only found one of the CDs physically, and that is Chris Rice's. The album's called Short Term Memories, and boy, that album's awful. It is just the worst thing in the world. And I actually didn't remember a lot of the songs on that album, so I'm not sure how much I listened to it. The one song that I do remember listening to a
Oh my
whole lot
god.
of is called Cartoons, and this is one that Joey's dying over here. I sent it to him in Discord, and I don't even know where to start with that song. It's a live performance of a song. It's called Cartoons. He's a Christian artist, and he's just kind of like going down a list of popular cartoon characters and finding some pun or some way that they would say hallelujah. So you had like Fred Flintstone would say yabba dabba doo ya or something, and Scooby Doo would say Scooby Dooby doo ya. And so like that those are the verses. It's just him going like Scooby Doo, sing Scooby Dooby Doo ya, and then the crowd would repeat it, going Scooby Dooby Doo ya. Like everyone was losing their minds, just like having a great time for this horribly written, shitty song.
Oh
And the
my
chorus
god.
comes in, he's like, "Hey guys, I know it's fun to sing about cartoons, but cartoons can't save you. Jesus can." Basically, is kind of like where the song goes, and it goes right back into the fucking cartoon bits, and it's just like I feel like I was losing my mind, but in a different way that everyone in the audience was losing their minds, because it makes no fucking sense to me. It's not a good song. It's not fun to listen to. It's absolutely mind blowing. Sorry, Chris Rice, if you're listening to this. That song is horrible, and I'm sure you hate it if it was as big as that crowd made it seem, because that
Yeah.
means that you had to sing it and play it forever. and I can't imagine that. What a
Dude,
trip.
see, part of me cannot fathom a
Yeah,
world in which that song exists and there are enough people to fill a crowd to like you said, they're eating it
they're
up.
loving
They're
it. Yeah,
in only the way that like Christian contemporary music fans can, because
yeah.
there is something special about people that really like that music. Not to shit on their fun, and if you're really having fun, like go for it, do your
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
But it's as an outsider looking in, I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? But it's
It
like
looks insane.
I think it's a purity that I literally just cannot wrap my mind around. Where you're just so, it's like watching like a 4-year-old see a Wiggles concert
Yeah,
where you're just like, you're so enraptured by this. How is this happening?
that's their life. That's it. But oh, Scooby Dooby Doo ya and Yabba Dabba Doo ya. I don't even know what the other ones were. Those are the two that stick out in my mind. It's wild.
Yeah,
It's absolutely wild to me, that song. Go check it out. I think it's just called Cartoons by
yeah,
Chris Rice. You'll have your mind blown, probably. There was another album that I did find digitally that I remembered listening to a whole lot. I didn't remember the album title. I remember the band. The band name is Paul Coleman Trio. They had an album called New Map of the World, and it's actually solid. Like I enjoy some of those songs still musically, at the very least. Like they're good. Like it's kind of like early 2000s, mid 2000s, like rock, like radio kind of stuff. Maybe some like U2 influence and some stuff like that. So it's not like super aggressive or anything, but like some of the songs get a little bit like lyrically heavy, and some of them are just fun to sing, and like it's all made very well. And so I can still vibe with some of it, but it's, I mean, obviously it's still Christian music. They're singing about shit that I don't necessarily like agree with or relate to at this point in time. But I'd say it's a pretty solid album
yeah.
still overall.
Hey, that's nice. That's a good find out of like looking back on that type of music.
Yeah,
It's
that's what I was expecting to find, and then I found Chris Rice and his cartoon song, and I was like, man, I don't know if I can keep digging. And then Paul Coleman kind of brought it back for me a little bit.
well, that's good. This isn't really digging into my past, or at least not my far past, but there's an album that I found a few years ago called the band's called Songs Ohio. It's like Songs colon Ohio, and the album
Ohio,
is Yeah, it's like Ohio but with an A instead of a second O.
interesting.
But the album's called Magnolia Electric Company, and I found it a while ago. Just I don't even like. I think it was whenever I was like really getting into like the microphones and a lot of like I was re-listening to a bunch of like Elephant Six stuff. But I found it, and it has a jam band like bluesy sound, which is something that I'm not usually like into.
Hmm.
But something about the front man, Jason Molina, something about his vocals and his lyrics are just like they're just really gripping, and like just the way
Hmm.
he sings, he's really emotive, and it's really like the music itself is fine, and it's good even, and I think some of it is improvised, but it's just like his voice, something about it just speaks to me, and I've been listening to that like way too much lately. But it's one of those things that like I feel like I equate it to like music from my childhood, where if I were to listen to it now, there's part of me in my brain that's like, why are you listening to this? This isn't something that you know, like there's a battle going on in my mind.
You've labeled it as past Joey,
Yeah.
and current Joey's not allowed to open that box.
Yeah, it's like my brain just cannot comprehend that I'm listening to it and enjoying it as much as I do. It's like this isn't something you would enjoy now, but it is. And
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
I don't know.
I say fuck you, brain, to that kind of shit. Like I'm all about like quote unquote guilty pleasures from
Hell
like,
yeah.
I mean, Avril Lavigne is a big one. I know I talk about Avril Lavigne every now and then, and her first album I still think holds up, and I really enjoy it. And I have no shame in expressing that I really enjoy that album. And I think everyone should listen to that album. So I don't think I have a similar problem to looking back on things. I mean, that Chris Rice album should be locked away, and I should not be listening to that. But I don't, if I'm finding myself enjoying something, that I used to enjoy when I was younger, I don't think of it as like tasteless or not worthy enough, I guess, of my current like music tastes or standards or whatever. Because I mean, as long as you're enjoying it, who gives a shit?
Hell yeah, that's very true. Um, man, I've also have been like, I don't know, I didn't do too much
Me
music
either, dude.
discovery. Well, like so the next portion of things that I was talking about or was going to talk about is this ambient artist who their name on Bandcamp is like in Japanese. I have no fucking idea what it
Okay.
actually is, but just around on like music circles, I've always heard it as Father is the name of the artist. And I originally found out about him from their album. It's in like a niche genre called deathwave, which is supposed to be like, I mean, it's like it's ambient in the form that like vaporwave is, but it's not like as like synthy. And vaporwave is supposed to like tackle capitalism and commercialism and all that. Deathwave is supposed to like tackle death instead of that.
That's
But
fun.
yeah, exactly. They had an album called White Death, and it was never on Spotify, so like I had to be connected to the internet to like listen to it. I could never like listen to it in there was a gate that was keeping me from listening to it, and now
Hmm.
I found out it was on Spotify, just
Nice.
under the name Father 2006. So I've been listening to that album and their other album that's on there called Reflection, and those two albums were a while ago. Just like I was super into it, and now this past week has just been like nuts with work, so I've been listening to it a lot, and it's been putting me in a crazy headspace, and I'm really digging it.
Yeah, it's fun. I might check that out. I've written down 3 suggestions from you already this week because, as you said, you haven't done a lot of music discovery. I haven't done a lot either, to be honest. I feel like I haven't been listening to a lot of music in general, though, for like the past like week and a half, and I guess part of that's because I'm sick. I
Yeah.
got the Rona, but like that just means I've had so much time to sit around and do nothing, and I don't know what I've been doing. I've been sitting in silence, I guess, or like watching videos and I don't know. I think I'm just in a weird like headspace because of all this shit. So I definitely want to dive back in going forward for my future picks, the things that I want to listen to. Moving on to that portion, I guess, of my list, I do have some that I'd like to look at. First up is a rapper, I believe, named Puya, which is
Oh, okay.
PouyA. uh so dude at the dollar store a couple weeks was like, I saw him like singing to himself while he was behind the counter, and me being a curious asshole was like, what are you singing, like what are you listening to? And so he told me is Puya, he was part of a rap group or something, but he also has solo stuff, and he was listening to solo stuff. So I'm like, I'm gonna check that out, and I feel like I'm gonna hate it
Yeah.
just because of this kid was like 14, 15 years old, and the way he described Puya to me was it reminded me of that kind of like emo kind of rap,
Oh, okay.
but like with like the really like low gritty vocals and like the kind of hardcore weird whatever the new that new genre of rap of just like the really like super low grit like gravelly tones like rap people. I don't know. Puya, I have no idea. I guess what I'm saying. It's a black box for me right now, but I'm not anticipating liking it. But I do want to check it out at the very least, just because that was a fun way to get a recommendation, I suppose.
Yeah. It's always nice to find music, even if you don't like it in that weird roundabout
Yeah,
way, because then at least you get a story out of it. And even if it is bad, I mean, at least you found out about something bad, and it's like, yeah, this is something that I know about and have listened to now. That's
right.
cool.
And you know one more thing that you don't like in the
Yeah,
world. Whatever. You
that
got to find your likes and your dislikes.
yeah. Um, I had one more thing that was just a weird thing that happened. Uh, so in the Discord where we typically post our stuff that we're going to share, I
Hmm.
shared an album by DJ Roswell the other day called
Yeah, I
"None
meant
of
to
This
listen to
Is
that.
Real." It's like a kind of an ambient electronic, like some of it's bordering on like not music almost, But the whole time I was thinking, I feel like I liked the album, by the way. I liked it a lot.
Cool.
But the whole time I was thinking, something about this feels familiar. Like, I don't know if it's the artist, I don't know if it's the artwork, I don't know if it's the music or what.
Mm-hmm.
Come to find out, so there's this ARG, an augmented reality game that people do this stuff online where it's like you're diving down this artificially made rabbit hole where somebody's usually trying to plug some sort of marketing scheme or whatever.
Right.
But there was one that I like watched a bunch of YouTube videos about related to the word erratus, ERRATAS. And
Yeah.
it was like this story about like this guy that worked at a warehouse and like he found a code on a box that said erratus and he asked about it and they were like, no, you don't fucking ask about this word. It's like people's lives get deleted because of this word. And like it led him down this rabbit hole to where he found a Twitter account linked to this band called the KFC Murder Chicks. And like all of this yeah, and they have an album out and it's kind of fucking nuts, but like it's at least an experience to listen to.
Yeah.
But come to find out, of course, it's a marketing ploy for DJ Roswell. And that's where the familiarity came with. But it's weird because Spotify recommended this album to me. And I've never listened to KFC Murder Chicks. I've never listened to DJ Roswell on Spotify, like none of that stuff. And it's just weird that apparently my music tastes have somehow gotten to the point where, yeah, like somehow that this guy that created a whole ARG to market his music is now being recommended to me on Spotify. It was just a weird time.
That's fun. Yeah, I feel like your Spotify's got to be crazy with you jumping like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard and fucking DJ Roswell and Pile, obviously still in rotation.
Always.
And Beach Bunny and like shit like that. So like your Spotify has got to be a wild place, I would imagine. Just jumping around. I mean, I guess it's all kind of like moody music.
Yeah. I think there's an overarching like emotion that can be felt in all of the music, and that's the thing. That's the thing because like I've always felt like people are like, oh yeah, what genre of music? Like the people are like, I listen to rock, I listen to metal, I listen to country. It's like no, like I feel like if you just took somebody with an open mind and actually just gave them music, it would be like, no, I relate to this emotion being present in music no matter the genre, and that's kind of like how I feel like it is.
Yeah, and I feel like obviously that's impacted by your current like mood and your current thoughts going into it. Like you have that lens, that filter, I guess. So like that emotion might not even be persistent across you to me. Essentially, if I were to listen to King Gizzard and the Wizard Lizard, I might have a totally different emotional connection, I guess, with it than you do, and you might consider it to be like depressing or whatever, but like in one way, and I might just consider it to be like weird and fun in some other ways, something. But not that is the case.
Yeah,
it was just like a weird example. So it's kind of fun that there's definitely I feel like I approach music that way now more as well, where it's more of like the tone of like the sounds and like just the feeling of listening to it more so than, oh, I listen to rock, I want to find rock music, or I want to find metal, or I want to find whatever, which historically I've done, and I'll still kind of do that, I guess, from time to time now, but it when I'm listening to it, I'm more so focused on that kind of like feeling, the vibe, I suppose, of it more so than the labels associated with it. You got any plans for the next Fortnite episode? Fortnite?
Not too much, but you talking about listening to Puya made me want to revisit a rapper that Levi, our mutual friend, showed to me way back in the day called Trademark the Skydiver. That guy. He put me onto him, and I really liked a couple of his albums, and I want to see what that guy's been up to. So I'm gonna figure that out. I would
be elated to find out what he's been up to as well. I'll let him know that you're looking into that. Some other future list items for me. Actually, I have two more. One of which is a group called the Nova Twins. which I know next to nothing about. That's two girls. I think they do hip hop. No, they do rock. Sorry, I just started looking at their page just to clarify. I don't even remember how I got the recommendation. I think it came through on social media somewhere where someone was like, hey, like, check out the Nova Twins single from like some other artist was sharing their music. So I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll give them a shot. So I have not listened to them. Again, I thought they were hip hop. They're not. They're a rock duo of two chicks. So that's something that I kind of want to dive into over the next fortnight. And then as far as upcoming album goes, there's not a lot actually for the next couple weeks. But one of them that stands out is Swarty.
Oh, hell yeah.
An electronic kind of producer / DJ kind of guy that I know because of Porter Robinson and his festivals. He's played some of Swarty's tracks, and he has Swarty on like Secret Sky and stuff like that. But apparently Swarty has a new album coming out next week, I think. Next Friday? No, it is. Yeah. Next Friday is his album, so I'm going to be peeping that when that comes out.
Oh, that just reminded me. Horse Jumper of Love comes out with a new album, I think, in like 10 days, maybe. It's sometime either like in the next week and a half, I think. So I'm going to listen to that. There we go.
That's exciting. You got anything else on your upcoming, any promises you want to break for next week or next episode?
Shit, dude. In the words of Pat the Bunny, a promise for me is just a lie I ain't told yet. So
good old Pat the Bunny. Maybe I'll go give some of those bands another good shot. I mean, I guess if I'm going to be checking out Songs Ohio, you said that's kind of in a similar.
Well, it's weird because it get like on my recommendations, it seems to get lumped in with bands like that, but it's not. It's like a blues rock, almost like with some kind of country vibes, but like a jam band, like almost like you're listening to like Fish or something, but if Fish was more bluesy.
That sounds delightful, maybe. Question mark on that one. Who fucking knows? I don't. You don't. Stay in the feedback loop, man. Bye.